Good evening. I would like to call the meeting to order. If everyone could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll begin with roll call. Bonnie Benz.
Here.
Sherry Bowman.
Here.
Mercedes Evans.
Here.
Michelle Forbes.
Here.
Jennifer Hoover.
Here.
I'm Alyssa Packer. Emily Smith.
Here.
And Josiah Garber. Here. Okay. We begin now with public comment. If you have anything you'd like to share with council, please address the podium, come up to the podium and state your name and address, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. I do not have any announcements tonight, so we'll move straight to the agenda approvals. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second? Second. Any discussion, revisions necessary? Okay, well then, all those in favor of the consent agenda, please say aye. Aye. Okay. Manager's report.
Good evening. I'm taking minutes tonight also, so we hope Julie's feeling better. It takes 4 people to do one Julie, so bear with us if anything is happening that doesn't usually happen. Michelle and Bob Forbes and I all attended the Local Emergency Planning Committee Summit. We learned a lot about a variety of topics, including cybersecurity, which was kind of frightening, emergency preparedness, and first aid, among other topics. Our staff hosted staff members from approximately 10 other municipalities who were touring stormwater best management practices. This was about 2 weeks ago on municipal properties throughout the region, and they were interested in our Willow Park project. So Lester Landman, Audrey Logar, and I led a tour of Willow Park. We walked around the stream bank restoration project and talked about public education and outreach relating to stormwater BMPs. I also represented the borough at the Susquehanna Municipal Trust annual meeting. This is when we learn about how things are going at our workers' compensation insurance trust, which is going very well, actually. And we received a safety award for no lost work days. I actually got a certificate. If you'd like to see it, I'm going to hang it on my wall. And I'm actually elected to serve on the board of trustees to make sure that things go well on the Workers' Compensation Insurance Trust. So I will be on the board of trustees there for 3 years. I also, in our office, the I-83 South Bridge environmental assessment, they've provided that to our office for public comment. It's about this thick. If you care to enjoy yourself reading that, you're welcome to come in during regular business hours, and it will be available for public comment until November 15th. And there is no tolling proposed for the bridge. And that's all I have.
Thank you. All right, reports of committees and board liaisons will begin with public safety. Mercedes?
We'll start with the mayor's report.
Okay, thank you. The police department handled 753 calls in the month of October. We also had a new police officer, Mikhail Primus, started a week ago. So far, he's doing great. Fire department ran 36 calls in October, 84 man-hours spent on those calls. We are continuing our engine company operations training. And we had a major repair to our ladder truck done, and I had to have it recertified, which it successfully passed. So that's good news. And we presented or did fire prevention presentations to about 500 kids in between the elementary schools and all the preschools in October. So that's always a good time. That's my report.
Well, I was excited to announce about the new police officer, but you beat me. I could do it again. All right, so the main thing is that we've had some issues with speeding on Country Club Hill Road. And there were 2 different traffic studies done, one on the curved part and one on like the more flatter part. And they were about 10 to 12 days each. And on the second part, where it was 12 days, there were about 20,000 vehicles or trips that went through that street in just that matter of time. So just some stats there. And about 20% of those committed citable speeding offenses. So that was like really helpful information to help with enforcement. And Chief Margison's going to be connecting with East Penn Police Department to do that joint enforcement since they own half of the road. And that's all I have. Oh, any questions?
Thank you. All right, Public Works, Jennifer.
Thank you. Public Works Committee just met yesterday, so forgive us, but the minutes are not yet in the packet. They are under review. Let me begin with a few updates first, and then an action item that I'll be speaking about, and then the remainder of the action items I'll turn over to Mike for him to cover in his engineer's report. But of interest to those in the audience and around the table here, the Market Street Streetscape project, we've received a significant amount of interest. However, we may be extending the bid date per some interested parties' request, and we look forward to reviewing bids for the streetscape project at our December meeting. We were also informed that progress is being made at the Seabrook Park Pump Station, and PPL is scheduled for the week of December 4th to connect the station to permanent power. So hopefully that project will soon be wrapped up. Okay, and we appreciate all the assistance we've received elsewhere in getting that to a finished position completed. Additionally, the Eisenhower Walkway and Pedestrian Improvement Project is underway, if you haven't noticed, so some work has already began and finished at certain intersections. And then next week, work at the North 24th Street along the bypass will be underway, and that's where we'll be putting up the barricade, a new driveway to the house, et cetera, that we've discussed multiple times over the past, seems like forever. But hopefully that'll be wrapped up soon, except that some of that work will wait until the spring, including the crosswalk installation. Additionally, Lester gave us an overview of the robotics assessment that we had completed. And in short, I'll just say that it's a great interactive assessment with color-coded conditions of our roadways, and there's the photo you can see on the screen. So from best to worst, with green being the best, the worst being the red and the orange. And you can see in that green box, 1.91, we received a very good overall score. And just noting this because we will be able to use this information with Lester and his team to proactively and strategically determine where and how to maintain our roadways, whether that's microsurfacing or mill and overlay, et cetera. And that additionally overlays with our other CCTV work and other things that we've been doing.
My eyesight's not that great. What's in the red?
The red,
I know what it means, but what streets are those?
that we're looking at I think that's the Hollywood development, correct, Lester? Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. And in Mike's report, he'll talk a little bit more about that and why we chose that particular screenshot of that assessment as it relates to the other action items that are on the agenda. The other notable update I wanted to just share is that with thanks to another grant, and we have many for which we are grateful, but we've received 20 bare root trees that were planted yesterday, yes, Tuesday, along Creek Road in their riparian buffer. So hopefully those will do well and will help our stream and the local nature habitat there. And then with regards to the action item, I just wanted to briefly discuss, we'll be seeking recommendation for Sarah, approval for Sarah to submit a grant application on our behalf to the local share account program. It's a statewide program funded with gaming revenues. and projects that improve the quality of life in our community, such as infrastructure, including sidewalks, are eligible uses. So we are seeking or submitting a grant application to support what's been called our Roots Are Made for Walking project, a pedestrian improvement project, connectivity along North 19th Street, and as a reminder, that's also a designated safe route to school. So the intent of that project is to provide some connections where they are missing or need replaced. So that project right now in its proposed state would consider installing some sidewalks along Lenox Street, which is the road right over heading into the Eisenhower, and then some additional work on North 19th Street. So we will submit that application and anticipate an award date as soon as July, but that could be delayed until the fall. So those are a few updates, and then I'll turn it over to Mike and his engineer's report.
Thank you. Jennifer already covered the update on the Seabird Park pump station, so I'll dive in on the transportation projects section of the report. The 2023 paving project is complete. We've received all of the closeout documents from the contractor, and they've addressed all of their punch list items. We have 2 requested action items tonight in relation to that project. The first one is to approve change order number 1 in the amount of negative $4,578.56 to reconcile the final construction quantities against the bid quantities. We had a great contractor this year. They moved very quickly and ultimately used a little bit less materials than anticipated. So that's a little bit of a cost savings. The second requested action item, assuming the first one passes, is to pay the final payment application, which is number 2, in the amount of $4,303.98 in closure of the 2023 paving contract. Next, we have 2 requested action items for next year's paving and sidewalk contracts. The first one is we'd like to request approval of HRG's proposal in the amount of $35,400 to provide design, bidding, and construction oversight for the 2024 paving contract, which is actually down a little bit from this year. Things have changed in the contracting world, and we have some reason to believe that next year's project might go smoothly as well. So a little bit of a savings there, hopefully. And then the second, and I'm sorry, before I move off of that one, the area that we're looking to pave is the northwest corner of the borough in that kind of Hollywood neighborhood. The robotics scan told us that that's the area that needs it the most, so that's where we're going next. And we're working in conjunction with Lester and his crew to kind of sequence these projects based on that need, and also to sequence them so that we do curb ramps 1 year, pave the next year. Curb ramps 1 year, pave the next year. Last year we did curb ramps in that neighborhood. So it's kind of part of the plan, and it's sort of the next logical step, addresses the next area of need. Again, in that kind of stepwise fashion, we'd like to move on to, in next year, the next area of curb ramps, which is the area of Walnut Street and High Street, kind of the library neighborhood. So we have a proposal that we'd like to request approval of tonight in the amount of $39,950 to provide design, bidding, and construction oversight for next year's curb ramp project. That's everything in my report.
And I just would note that those ramps, we do have a grant from the county for those as well.
I just want to thank Mike and Lester and their teams for working together as well as they do and coming prepared to the meeting and really having laid out a strategic plan in the years ahead. So thank you. And as a final reminder, if there are no other questions, leaf collection is underway, so please remember to move your vehicles, as well as street sweeping is continuing as well, right? As needed. Street sweeping as needed, but leaf collection was on my street today, so it reminded me to move my vehicle to the back of the road. So back to the alley. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Community business and government relations, Emily.
Thanks. I have some downtown coordinator updates. A new business open house was held at Elbin Insurance, which is at 1605 Market Street on October 26th. If you don't know, there's lots of holiday events coming up. The Candy Cane Walk is the one coming up the soonest. That is November 19th from 12 to 4 p.m. The event will feature shopping, dining, visits with Santa and Mrs. Claus, live music by the marching band, no last call, hot chocolate stations, and fun activities. Then I'm sure that Mercedes in the recreation report will talk about all of the other things happening in December, but the holiday evening stroll is December 7th from 5 to 8 p.m. and will be in conjunction with the community tree lighting with a path lit up between the Borough parking lot and Market Street. You can find all these events at campbellborough.com/downtown-events. The farmers market is over for the year. Thank you for everyone that came. I actually heard some updates yesterday at the Downtown Camp Hill Association meeting, and they have set dates for next year. It's going to be a slightly shorter season than this year, just because weather and stuff in October and less produce and all of those things. Their numbers went down in October, so it's going to be a May to mid-October market next year. But overall, it did very well and had an average, it had a total of 36 vendors, not all of them for the entire season. But over the course of it, it did pretty well. New businesses, there's going to be some ribbon cuttings coming up in 2024 to be posted on the website. If you are not subscribed to the Camp Hill Borough e-Digest, I highly recommend it. We currently have 280 subscribers. You can sign up on the Borough website. And then just a reminder, Miracle on 24th Street is Saturday, December 9th from 12 to 4. I'm sure Mercedes might talk about that as well. There will be 40 plus vendors, a youth makers market, food trucks, a beer garden, live music, and visits with Santa. And that is the entirety of my report. Thank you. Oh, one last thing. We will not be having a community business and government relations meeting tomorrow.
Thank you, Emily. And we'll move on to Mercedes if her thunder hasn't been stolen with Parks and Rec.
Nah, it's all good. There is more fun stuff, though. Yes. Oh, wait, actually, you already said all these. Holiday tree lighting, December 7th. All right, no. There's the Parade of Lights for Toys for Tots, December 8th through 9, and this one's going to be a little bit different. It's not going to be at Seabird. It's actually going to be at Willow Park. So we're combining that with the Miracle on 24th Street. And let's see. And the events are going to be in the evening. The Parade of Lights is going to happen from 6 to 8:30 p.m. And there's going to be one day that's pedestrian only, so that's going to be a great opportunity for people to just walk around and get a hot chocolate and just have a nice time with their families. And also, thank you so much to everyone that helped make the Halloween parade and activities a success. Just had a ton of fun judging the costumes, and everybody was just like really great and appreciated. So, any questions? No? Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Bonnie, Planning and Zoning.
Okay. In your packet are the meeting minutes from our last meeting, and also in your packet is the code officer's report, which reflects $788,760 in construction costs and a total of 206 calls this month. Our next planning and zoning meeting will be November 17th at 8:15 a.m. Discussion will continue with regard to a proposed rental inspection ordinance. At this past month's meeting, I just wanted to discuss a new concept that we talked about in planning and zoning. This concept was recommended by the Sustainability Committee, and it is called Community Choice Aggregation, or CCA. It is a program used in other states that allows municipalities to join together to combine the buying power of residents and small businesses at a large enough scale to be able to dictate the terms of their energy contract with regard to price, source of energy, and largely to determine the default energy supplier that is on the utility bill. Currently in Pennsylvania, CCAs do not exist, but there's an organization called CCA for Pennsylvania, which is seeking approval from the Pennsylvania Utility Company to allow aggregations of local borough governments in Pennsylvania to provide energy of their choosing to their residents and local businesses. The Sustainability Committee is interested in this because it would allow our borough to seek pricing on 100% renewable energy, which would be competitively lower than the default pricing of PP&L. So, if this organization, CCA for PA, is able to obtain enough interest from Pennsylvania boroughs, as well as to get the go-ahead from the PUC, community choice aggregation would allow the borough to select, through the process of an RFP, an energy supplier with lower rates than PP&L, and thus we would be able to replace PP&L with a default energy supplier that of the borough's choosing. That would be the default on residents and businesses' utility bills, the electric utility bills. Just as currently is the case, a resident or business would be able to opt out of the borough's selected default supplier, which is currently PP&L today, and would be able to select another energy supplier using PA Power Switch, just like we do today. In order for our borough to initiate the process of a CCA, the borough would enter into a non-binding memorandum of understanding with this organization so that they could proceed together with us in creating a plan to submit to the PUC for its consideration and approval. Currently, there are 5 boroughs in the Philadelphia area who have a different electric company than PP&L. That have signed an MOU with this organization, CCA for PA. The Planning and Zoning Committee would like to have this organization do a presentation to council in the future, but I just wanted to introduce this concept of this community choice program in advance so that you have a basic understanding of what a CCA is prior to that presentation. Any questions on that? Okay. Also, I wanted to let you know the Planning and Zoning Committee reviewed a draft letter that was written by the Community, Business, and Government Relations Committee regarding the voluntary elimination of single-use plastics. That committee will continue discussion on recommended edits to the letter, and they will be discussing a sustainable storefront program. That's all I have.
Thank you. Any questions? No? Okay, we will move on then. Do you have anything, Michelle?
I was just going to,
Personnel, policy, and procedures.
I was just going to mention
Yeah, go ahead.
volunteer positions that are open for starting next year. Next year, we have Civil Service Committee, we have Planning Commission, Stormwater Authority, Recreation Committee, Human Relations Committees. They all have openings, so if anyone is interested or knows anyone, or please take a look at our website and email us.
Thank you. Okay, finance, Sherry.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Let me just start off with just a general report. Our Finance Committee subcommittee met on the 26th of October. We also, as a Borough Council, had 2 meetings during the month of October to finalize our 2024 budget. our Finance Committee will get together again on the 30th of November at 8 a.m., so anyone's welcome to come. So we have a couple of things that we're working on this evening for action. One is around the minimum municipal obligation for the police pension plan for 2024. So a couple of months back, we did approve tentatively the 2024 plan for folks and the amount that they would have to contribute for their pension. Subsequent to that, we did get a report back from the state that showed us that the state's funding of the police pension plan wouldn't be enough to cover the full cost of it. And so tonight we'll be considering modifying that plan to require the police that are a part of that pension plan to contribute 5% of their salary towards their pension next year. So that's one thing. So I'll just pause there to see if there's any questions.
Just to clarify and confirm, what do they contribute now?
Right now, they don't have to contribute anything. We've been funding that gap, but now the gap has gotten significant enough that we need them to contribute. Okay, all right, terrific. So let me see where I want to go next here. So we did finish and finalize the 2024 budget, and I'm just going to bring forward a few of the highlights of our 2024 budget. So we do have a balanced budget, but in order to do that, the budget does include a tax increase for 2024, and I just have a few points of consideration. So just so you know, this budgetary process happens every year, and it's about a 3-month process with multiple meetings, and that process involves a lot of folks looking at their budgets, the department heads, the finance director, our borough manager, and borough council going through all the line items over the course of these meetings over several months. So just a couple points here around the plan here. So our expenses since 2012 have increased by almost 50%, so 49% increase in our expenses, and there was no tax increase to offset these expenses. We also were in a situation where our capital improvement fund balance is running very low, and to really keep up with the projects we have upcoming, we need to make sure that we have adequate money in that fund. We have a lot of maintenance-related projects. I think you saw a few that we alluded to this evening, just around the streets and keeping those up to speed. There's other projects on the horizon that we want to tackle and not delay them further, because we know if they get further delayed, the cost to the borough will go up a lot more than just paying and taking care of them right now. If these situations get worse, they'll cost even more money. The other point is we haven't raised taxes in 17 years in Camp Hill. So, we're reluctant to have to raise taxes, but given where we're at, this is the case. Just so you do understand a point of a benchmark for us, right now, our tax rate is 9 out of 11. So we're the 3rd lowest tax rate currently in Cumberland County out of the 11 boroughs. And our proposed tax change, we're going to be, right now, we are taxing at a 3.00 mil rate, and we need to raise that up to a 3.35 mil. That doesn't really move us up much in terms of what other boroughs look like, so that takes us from 9 out of 11 to 7 out of 11. So, and that even predisposes the fact that probably other boroughs are going to be in a similar situation and have to increase their tax rates as well. So even when we raise it, we're kind of coming to the midpoint of other boroughs. So just a point of reference. And we actually did, do the math to try to understand what the impact of it is, because when you talk about mills, it's like, what does that mean? So when we look at the average homeowner in Pennsylvania, in Camp Hill, that cost increase will be $70.06 for the year, or an increase of $5.84 on average per month for the taxpayers. Let me see if there's anything else. So I'll
Sure.
just pause there.
Can
Yeah.
you just clarify our current millage rate and what we're proposing?
Yeah, we're at 3.022 mils. Yep, and we want to go, and we're raising that to a 3.350. Yep.
Is it 4 or 5?
3.5, yeah. That's okay. Yeah. So I'll pause there. I mean, there's a lot more detail we can go into, certainly in the packet. I mean, everyone here on council, we've been through all of this. There is a narrative in our packet that's available for the public to actually go through budget by budget and what the considerations are for each of our budgets in a lot of detail. So thank you, Jared, for writing up that narrative. But I'll just see if there's any other questions.
I don't have a question. I would just like to add a comment about the projects and our capital improvement plan. And I just like to share that, the projects that are going on that are more voluntary, more optional, are almost entirely grant funded. Sometimes there is a small match that's required of the borough, but those really are largely grant funded. So the projects that we're talking about are the projects that are absolutely kind of necessary to maintain our infrastructure. So these are the projects that Sherry was referring to, that if we don't keep up with them, as problems arise, as the small problems arise, and maintain them, they're going to be much more costly down the road. And we see that in certain areas where we haven't maintained things in the past. So that's the main thing I would like to say, and just to reiterate the fact that, I don't think you mentioned this, but not only have we not increased taxes in the past 17 years, there was actually at one point a tax decrease during that time period. So, we think it's hard sometimes when you're looking at your bills, but the school district taxes and the borough taxes are separate taxes. And so while the school district taxes have increased over time, the borough taxes have not.
Thank you, that's very good. Any other points?
What would you like me to say?
Oh, I don't know.
You should say something, I don't know what.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the thing is that infrastructure is like a very super important thing for us to maintain. And our capital improvement fund has been underfunded and continues to be underfunded, so that if there is an emergency, like, I don't know, a water main break in front of the high school, or, any other various things that happen, if we don't have money in the capital improvement fund, then we have to create debt. I mean, there's so many important things that we need to maintain so that it doesn't get worse in the future. And I think that's the most important part. We're not just randomly spending money on, pet projects, unless they're funded by grants.
There you go. All right, thank you. Any other points around the budget? So we will be taking action this evening to advertise, to consider advertising a draft ordinance to increase the real estate tax millage. So I think that's all I had to cover.
Thank you, Sherry. I don't think the borough school district group has met since we last had our council meeting?
No, that meeting is twice a year, so we just completed the fall meeting, and then the folks that are off won't be able to go to the next one, but the new folks, maybe somebody who just was newly elected might want to be a liaison for the
Okay.
spring.
Thank you. So we'll go then to the Stormwater Authority liaison, Bonnie.
Okay, I have nothing new to report since our last meeting, where the report was given at council, because the next stormwater meeting is actually being held after tonight's council meeting on Tuesday, November 14th at 8 a.m., if anybody's interested.
I thought you meant after, like tonight. That's a late,
No,
that's
no,
a
no.
late meeting. Okay, library board liaison.
We are meeting next week as well, but I did want to draw everyone's attention to the silent auction, the fall reading challenges, and the donations for the 2023 holiday book tree, and support your library.
Thank you, Michelle. Capital Region Council of Governments liaison.
Okay. There isn't really any important COG business to report, but I will say there was, of note, a really interesting presentation that was given by the Central Pennsylvania Food Bank, and I thought you might be interested in some facts and figures. The Central Pennsylvania Food Bank serves 27 counties, partners with 1,000 plus partner agencies and programs, and provides 50 million meals a year. In Cumberland County, child food insecurity is at 10.2%. In Dauphin County, it is at 18.8%. And the way they measure food insecurity is in relation to access to adequate and nutritious food that a person or family buys with money. So the food bank focuses on the following questions to determine food insecurity for a family or individual. So they would ask, in the past 30 days, were we, a family, worried that we would run out of food and did not have money to buy more? Or the food we bought just didn't last and we didn't have money to get more. They noted that we can help by educating ourselves and our peers about what food insecurity looks like in our community, advocate for neighbors in need and for policies to support them, and volunteer at your local food bank or pantry and donate food or funds to your local food bank or pantry. And locally, we do have the Earl Besh Food Pantry, who partners with New Hope Ministry, both of whom partner with Central Pennsylvania Food Bank. So just something to think about when you're grocery shopping.
Yeah, Mommy, I'm a big food bank lover. I don't know if that sounds right. But I always try to get my team from work to go and volunteer. And I think the biggest learning is, you know, we always think about these can drives and stuff, but the food bank can buy so much more food if you just donate cash to them. It's like 5 times more than what we can give. So anyway, give money.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, so we've reached the point in the meeting where we'd like to open it up for public comment again. So at this point, if you have any comments that you'd like to share related to the action items, the new business that's to follow, please come up to the microphone and state your name and address, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Yeah. Yeah. Would you mind coming up to the microphone just because we stream the meetings so that people who are at home can hear? Oh, okay, yes.
Just a suggestion, but I was very involved with this project along the bypass with Scott Christie and PennDOT about putting the sidewalk, and I forget which one of you related to the sidewalk project. And I didn't hear some of your comments, so I just wondered if you could clarify the area that is going to be refurbished certainly was in need, and if it is totally funded by PennDOT. Can you just address it? I just had a couple of questions to clarify the area.
I'm sorry, can you state your name and address so I can get
I'm
it
sorry, I
in?
didn't
Oh,
hear
name
you.
and address
Your name and address.
for you.
Name and address.
My name and address. Oh, golly, Phil Mallory, and I live on Vista Circle in the campground.
Thank you.
Since 1961.
Thank you. We can touch base with you after the meeting if that's okay. We technically can't answer questions, but we can connect with you after the meeting. No, just we can connect with you after the meeting though to reiterate the points that were shared.
Call Scott. I just thought maybe we could clarify
Yeah.
it tonight.
Thank you.
I'm pretty sure that it is totally funded by PennDOT. They're
Oh.
the ones who approached us. And then there were discussions that it took about a year till we got a lot of the
The HATS
financing and
project
so
is totally
forth.
funded.
And
It's funded
I'm
by
happy
HATS.
to see that it is going to be completed because it surely was a
Yeah.
need. And I think the kids will be a lot safer if they have a safe sidewalk. And I hope that it's going to have a barrier.
Yes, it will have a barrier and it is largely funded, but there is a borough match, but it is largely funded by PennDOT.
Yeah, that's great.
Thank you.
Glad to hear that.
Yeah. Thank you for your.
I'll watch that because I've been threatened by that bypass for a long time, and we've been pretty lucky. Anyway, another question, if I may mix them
Thank you for your,
By the way, I just think this room looks beautiful.
thank you for your comments.
Love the colors.
Hi, good evening. I'm Commander Charlie Sowell, United States Navy retired, 915 Country Club Road. And one of the first things I'd like to ask is that since Veterans Day is observed on Friday, that the council recognize that and pay a little homage to the veterans in our community, and particularly anybody that's serving on council that might add military service. We appreciate that. I wanted to thank Mercedes in particular and the entire Public Safety Committee members, and in particular the chief and your department for the great work that you've done already in response to our concerns about the speeding on Country Club Road. The data study was fantastic. I think it showed exactly what our concerns were, and the communication and the way that you took it seriously, we couldn't have asked for better support. So my wife Lisa wanted to make sure that I thank the chief and the department for all the great work that you all have done, and we really look forward to seeing what happens next. So thank you for that. I'm really concerned to hear that the police pension, the council's best plan that we can come up with is for the police to self-fund their retirement. I strongly object to that, and I would request that the council explore other options. For example, I'm a business owner. I'd be happy to contribute or do something, fundraise or something, to prevent the police from having to fund their own pensions and basically take a pay cut. They're already underpaid, in my opinion, and I think that asking them to take a pay cut to fund their pensions is a ridiculous solution. So I would ask you to work with the community to come up with some better alternatives to that. And then lastly, I just object to the tax increase proposal, primarily because it sounds like you're talking about infrastructure-related jobs, infrastructure-related projects, and I would ask the council to look at the infrastructure bills that the federal government has come up with, and just make sure you've explored all options with that first before putting a tax increase. Totally understand the point, and thank you for the work on that. Thank you.
Just to clarify on that, the 49% increase, just to make sure I'm clear for the public, the 49% increase in expenses is specifically not in the operating budget, correct, Jared? The general fund budget, right? So that's what, yeah, sorry, I call that the operating budget at work. The general fund budget, so that is not the capital improvement project. So that's just kind of the same expenses that we've had, you know, for years, kind of increases due to inflation year over year for the past 17 years, or since 2012 for that 49% increase. Any other comments?
I just have one more question. I'm sorry, I'm usually not this vocal. Well, that's not true. Anyway, to balance your budget, you said you're working on a balanced budget. You must be pretty close to a balanced budget. Do you have in your program a policy of if you're over in one area, you can put it in another bucket in order to balance your budget, like if you have excess money in a capital improvement fund and you're short in another fund, can you mix money? Can you do that?
So we can't really go into that, but that is discussed extensively at the budget meetings that we've had. So we have monthly budget meetings, actually sometimes more than once a month in the past 3 months, where we talk about that. So there, you know, within a fund, there's opportunity to like kind of it doesn't need to be perfectly balanced per line item, but with it, things can't move around among funds. Jared, you can correct me if I say anything incorrect. Yeah, it's a much more complicated. So we do talk at length about the budget in all of the meetings leading up to it, about how the budget works.
My only question, the reason for my question is during such hardship times for an awful lot of people, it's
Yes.
a bad time to raise, and I know you're all aware of that.
Yes, we are.
Lots of times to raise taxes, but sometimes you have to do it to keep them all safe.
Yeah.
And do you have a committee for in case of a Holocaust or some terrible thing? Who is in charge of that?
Emergency management.
Yes. Yep, we have an emergency management committee.
We have a plan in camp for
We do.
evacuation and all that.
Yes.
That's great. Thank
right, thank you. Other questions? Not questions, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I went into teacher mode for a minute. I'm a teacher. Any other comments? All right, seeing none, we will move on then to the new business. We'll first begin with Public Works. Jennifer.
Alrighty. First up, I move that we approve resolution number 2023-011 to authorize application to the local share account grant program for the North 19th Street pedestrian connectivity project in the amount of $536,900.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2023-011 to authorize application to the local share account grant program. Is there any discussion? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion carries.
Next, I move that we approve change order number 1 in the negative amount of $4,578.56, which would be a cost reduction, to reconcile the final installed quantities against the bid quantity for the 2023 paving project.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve change order number 1 to reconcile the final and installed quantities of the 2023 paving project. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion carries.
Okay, next, I move that we approve application for payment number 2, the final payment, in the amount of $4,303.98 to Pensy Supply Incorporated, and subsequent closure of the construction contract for the 2023 paving project.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve the application for payment number 2 to Pensy Supply Company. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion carries.
And I move that we approve the HRG proposal for engineering services associated with the 2024 paving project in the amount of $35,400.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve the HRG proposal for engineering services associated with the 2024 paving project. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion carries.
Lastly, I move that we approve the HRG proposal for engineering services associated with the 2024 curb ramp project in the amount of $39,950.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve the HRG proposal for engineering services associated with the 2024 curb ramp project. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion carries. All right. Thank you, Jennifer. Finance.
Yep, okay. I make a motion to amend the minimum municipal obligation for the police pension plan for plan year 2024 in the amount of $119,613.
Any discussion?
I think it's worth discussing that it's in the police contract that their obligation to put money towards the pension is 5%.
It is, and we've been fortunate that we have not had to ask that they do that. And I would also just add that I think that this budget, in order to present a balanced budget that meets the needs of the borough, everyone is bearing some of the burden. The taxes are increasing. You know, we're not able to take on the difference between the state contribution and the minimum municipal obligation for the pension plan, and it is, as you said, part of their pension contract is that they will contribute 5%. Unfortunately, to this point, they haven't had to. Most of us do make contributions to our retirement plans or pensions if we have.
Or we don't have them at all.
Or we don't have them, but yeah. I mean, it's typical, you know, everyone else in the borough, I mean, I should say the administrative staff have a retirement, not a pension plan, but a retirement plan that requires a contribution. Any other comments or discussions?
Yeah, I just want to point out that the everyday person doesn't understand the risk of that job. So I'm going to be voting no.
Other comments? All those in favor, we're on the,
Yeah, we're.
okay.
gonna-
We've had a motion and a second.
Yep.
So we've had a motion and a second in discussion, and we're going to vote now on amending the minimum municipal obligation for the police pension plan. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. That motion carries.
Okay, next. I'd like to make a motion to approve the advertisement of an ordinance authorizing an increase in our real estate tax millage, and we will consider that on our next meeting on December 13th.
Okay, we've had a motion and a second to consider advertisement of a draft ordinance to increase the real estate tax millage. Any discussion?
Can you just go over what the average cost is going to be for somebody?
Yeah, right.
Per
So,
household?
right, that's great. Yeah, for the, based on the average value of the properties, an average property and homeowner.
Assessed value.
Assessed value, yes.
Assessed value, yes, assessed value, that's important. Based on that average, the average household will pay an additional $70.06 a year, or $5.84 per month.
We haven't really discussed it, but I didn't want to forget. Once we advertise it and it will go on our website, I'm just curious about what type of narrative, if anything, for example, what was provided in our packet will be provided also on the website at all in conjunction with the draft budget?
I mean, there is a narrative. We can.
Oh, well, it's related to this and the next, they're kind of together in my head, so.
Yeah.
The budget is advertised in the newspaper and online, including a budget narrative that explains the origin of the need for the tax increase that's recommended, and also the ordinance itself will be advertised legally and posted on our website that authorizes the board to increase taxes.
Okay, so I just wanted to confirm there
That's
will be
good.
a written narrative explaining it. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Can I say one more thing about the mill rate that we're talking about advertising this ordinance? So we saw some historic data of what our mill rate was in Camp Hill over the last, since 2007. So in 2007, it was 1.881 mils. In 2008, Jared, am I getting this wrong? 6 and 7. Okay, so in 2006, it was 1.881 mils. In 2007, it was raised to 3.881 mils. And then in 2012, it was reduced to 3.022 mils. So when we're raising the mill rate to 3.35 mils, we are not even going halfway back to where it was in 2007 through 2012, just to clarify.
Excellent.
Yeah, and if you are interested in a fuller understanding of the budget, all of the minutes from the meetings are available online, the budget meetings where this was discussed at length. Okay, so we've had a motion and a second to advertise the ordinance authorizing an increase in real estate tax millage to be considered at the December 13th meeting. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries.
Okay. Last but not least, our monthly exercise. Oh, should we have to do the budget too? Oh, yeah. Okay, so, thank you. I'd like to make a motion to advertise our 2024 budget for consideration on December 13th.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to advertise a 2024 budget for consideration on December 13th. Is there any discussion? Okay. Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. That opposed? That motion carries.
Okay, terrific. Now we can get to our monthly bill paying. I'd like to make a motion to approve to pay the bills in the amount of $329,460.46.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to pay the monthly bills. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Okay, we've reached the final point of public comment, in the meeting. If you would like to share a comment, please approach the microphone and state your name and address, and limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Hi, I'm Jessica Miller. I'm the director of the Frederickson Library. Hi, Michelle. I would just like to give you a quick update about some of the library services. As Michelle was lovely enough to mention, our friends of the library are having their silent auction right now. So if anyone is interested in helping to support the library, feel free to check it out. I had pulled some quick stats before I came, and so far, Camp Hill residents have checked out over 60,000 materials this year. Yeah, so Camp Hill really loves us. We appreciate it. I'm sure that a lot of you know that we offer a lot of different programs, story times, teen programs, and adult programs, especially at our Business and Career Center. But one of our newer programs you might not know is we have an English as a second language conversation group that's meeting on Monday nights. So if you know of any of your residents that might benefit, please feel free to refer them to us. I believe it's from 7 to 8. In addition, we're also, as everyone else is, it's been 20% inflation over the last 3 years. So last month we held a gala and it was very successful. So we're happy about that. And and thank you very much. Not only do you give us Michelle Forbes, our liaison, but also for appointing Jennifer Hoffman to our board, who has made her first board meeting last month, and she's a great board member. So thank you so much.
Thank you for all the great work you do.
Does anyone have any questions? Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Just quickly, Charlie Sowell, 915 Country Club Road. Just to clarify, the difference between normal public servants and police department and the military is they put their lives on the line. And so I think we owe them a little bit more respect and consideration than just treating them like every other public servant. So thank you for your attention. And Mercedes, thanks for your vote.
Additional comments? You can take it out of the...
We'll see how it goes. I'm Greg Sutliff. I live on Creek Road. I'm a former borough council member. I'm a former school board member, a former president of the school board. My colleague Phyllis is one of the founders of the Lion Foundation. Her deceased husband was on the school board, was president of the school board, was state representative and state senator. So, just so you know.
I was aware, thank you.
I've lived almost all my life in the borough, not quite all, but more than 80 years. Phyllis has been here for all of her life. We were classmates in high school, and we graduated in 1949. So I live on Creek Road. There are 2 homes on Creek Road. Dan Urban is one, and I'm the other. Where the park is between us. We're on the outside of the curve of the Condaguinit Creek, which, when you think about it, eons ago must have been a pretty mighty creek. But the outside of the curve tends to erode. The borough, back in the 60s, took the paving from Market Street, I believe, this concrete paving, and having put it on the Borough Park property adjoining the creek to prevent erosion. That's part of the reason why trees don't grow too well. It's concrete. And if you look up there, you'll see the concrete coming through. I put soil in over my property, and I put stones with the state's permission to prevent erosion. For 50 years, Dan Urban and I have been cutting our grass. Without particular regard. So has the borough been cutting the grass. We're not particularly careful about where the boundaries are. I really thought I was cutting part of the borough's grass until the borough did a survey this year, and it turns out that it was my grass. But, so we cut the grass without regard to where it is. And I put a sign up that says private property, but people, I don't say keep off, people use it. They have weddings there, it's very nice. So Dan cuts his grass, and then now that they've planted trees, and the trees are, the concept was to let the grass grow. It's the same grass we've been cutting all these years. Dan cut the grass. There was no signs that said don't. We've always cut the grass, and he's been challenged. And I feel like a lot of times, and people with an iPhone or a computer can be acquainted with the project. You make a lot of right decisions, and then you find yourself in a place that you don't want to be. And the only solution is to reboot, start again. And that's what you do. I think Dan's been challenged with serious responsibilities. I think that's overdone. It's expensive to defend himself. It's expensive to bring the case. And he's not a man of wealth. So I request that you reboot and just walk away from that suit. Thank you.
Just one follow-up point there. So, there was damage to the borough property. That was then referred to the police office. Charges were filed, but the election for the level of the charges is the district attorney's. And that decision was made by the district attorney based on some of the things that had happened within the courtroom. So I think that although you can come and speak to this board about that, that decision is with the district attorney at this point based on what has happened thus far in the case.
Thank you. It's not an opportunity for discussion, unfortunately. I just wanted to offer that. If you have another comment to share, you're welcome to, but we can't answer questions.
Yeah, I understand. But I'm an attorney too. I think the district attorney would be interested if you wanted to walk away.
I would say the election to move the charges from a misdemeanor to a felony were solely the district attorney's.
Yeah, I know.
I would just say this is a legal matter, and there are things that are not privy to discussion at a council meeting, but I appreciate your comment. Is there any other discussion or comments? Okay, seeing no other comments, is there a move to adjourn? Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, sure. I'm done. Would anyone like to make any comments? I'll start with Sherry.
I don't really have anything major to say. I mean, we're trying to do our best to balance the budget and make sure we're doing right for the borough. So, I guess people will be surprised that the taxes are going up a little bit, but honestly, they probably should continue to go up a little bit every year to make sure we're in the right spot. So that's just my ending comment, but thank you for a great meeting.
No comment.
I just wanted to give a thanks to the residents and candidates who recently ran for office. And I want to extend congratulations to our Democratic Council candidates who will be joining us in January. Tim Jackson, Tom Fink, and Luisa Losova. Both Tom and Luisa are in the audience, so we appreciate their attendance. And then lastly, the Public Works Committee will meet Tuesday, December 5th at 8 a.m.
Yeah, go ahead.
I extended congratulations to our council members-elect to council, two of whom are in the audience, Luisa Losova and Tom Fink, and they will be joined by Tim Jackson in January once we have our reorganization meeting. And I thanked the other candidates who stepped up, both for council and school board, and ran for office.
The Parks and Recreation Committee is not going to be meeting in December after a lot of events. We're going to take a break. Thanks.
Just a reminder that I will not be having a meeting tomorrow, so
It's so odd that you're not meeting the day after a council meeting.
yeah, no, I usually do, and tomorrow I don't. I'm not going to be in town. And I do think the members of our armed services are very important, and I think our police force is very important. My grandfather was a 3-war veteran. He served in World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. My uncle was a state police officer. I have lots of military in my family background. And I commend the police force for everything they do. And unfortunately, sometimes the budget is what the budget is. So, thank you.
Thank you, Emily. And I would just like to add my thanks to all of the borough staff for all of the work that they have done to bring the budget to the point that it is today in front of us. It really is a lot of labor, and we appreciate everything you've done. And I would also like to say that I'm sure Audrey could use volunteers, although it wasn't plugged tonight directly, for the Toys for Tots event. Oh, that's okay. You did mention it, but I just know... I just know how many volunteers it takes because she just emailed all today. So it's just top of mind. And it doesn't have to be, anyone can volunteer. Any member in the community who enjoys decorating or community service, contact Audrey. I'm sure she will find something very fun for you to do. That's all I have. Oh, I'm sorry, Josiah. I'm having an off night.
If I can get it to work. I just want to say congratulations to the newly elected officials. I'm excited to work with you two and Tim Jackson, sorry. And thank you for a good meeting. So I'm very happy to have this opportunity. This is my second time here. It's exciting. So thank you all.
Thank you. It's great to have you. I'm absolutely 100% sure that when I was in high school, I did not know local government existed. I shouldn't probably say that out loud, but I'm pretty sure I never went to a council meeting when I was in high school. And it's great to see young people involved in government at any and every level. Now I think I can ask for a move to adjourn. All right. Meeting adjourned.